All right, here's part two. So let's say we've got some dialogue and we have a 60 hertz hum, or any frequency really, but a 60 hertz hum is something that you could very well get in a recording, because that is a hum that basically could creep in to some cables and into your recording if you're using kind of crappy equipment. So here's a piece of dialogue that with some 60 hertz hum underneath it.
Yes. What? And then it's making sort of a boom.
You can actually see in the waveform, like if you like this little thick area right here, this thick looks almost kind of like just like a little shaft. That's the 60 hertz hum you're hearing.
Yes.
And as you can see, the audio is really buried in there. So let's look at the frequency analyzer, see what that tells us. Remember, it's the Blue Cat frequency analyzer. So now let's play it.
Yes. What? And then it's making...
So as you can see, what's cool about this frequency analyzer is it sort of freezes sort of the peaks so we can look at them afterwards. So this is the 60 hertz hum right here, and the speech is right here. So, but what you're seeing is the 60 hertz hum is seeping into the speech. You know, the human voice is more mid-frequency, as we see he's going from...
Yes. What? And then it's making sort of a boom.
So it looks like his voice is sort of like in the 160 hertz range all the way over to here to around the 10,000 hertz. Now this 60 hertz hum, it's existing right here, but remember from the last video, it's seeping over into the mid frequencies as well. It dips down, but it's still blended in there. But we are able to basically cut some of it out using EQ or equalizing tool. So we're going to actually add an audio suite plugin. So I could show you in the end the difference to the waveform. So we're going to do EQ3 7 band. And let's just go ahead and play it.
Yes. What? And then it's making sort of a boom.
So what I want to do is I basically want to create a high pass filter, and basically letting the higher frequencies pass through and the low frequencies have a nice shelf to like keep them down. So basically I'm going to go here to the low mid frequencies. See that right there? Bringing it down. And I could even, what I could do is I could even make this frequency, I could just say 60 right there. Boom, look at that. And I really want to go crazy. I can make this other point. There we go. And bring this down. Really just force these low frequencies down, right? Okay, now let's hear to see what that sounds like.
Yes. What? And then it's making sort of a boom. A kaboom.
Listen to that. Now,
yes.
You're not hearing that 60 hertz hum. If you listen really close,
what?
It is still
and
there,
then
but it's really silent.
Sort of a boom.
Right? But if you listen to the voice, it's lost
yes.
a little bit of that depth, because as you see,
what?
we have creeped into the area.
Sort of a boom.
Like if we look at a frequency analyzer here, we could see that his voice is emanating in the 200s into the 400s and definitely into the 1,000 and 2,000 hertz range, but it's definitely down in the 200s and 400s. If we go over here, well, look, we have caused this shelf to basically slope greatly into the 200, 400, and even 500 area. Okay, so let's listen to this back and forth.
Yes.
Okay, here's the bypass.
What? And then it's
that's without the filter.
Sort of a boom.
Listen to the hum.
A kaboom.
But also listen to the voice.
Yes. What? And then it's making sort of a boom. A kaboom.
The voice is still there, but it sounds a little tinny because we've gotten rid of some of the low frequencies. So what we can do is This is our mid frequency right here. If we push it more over to the left, that'll help the slope not be quite so sharp. So what we can do is, let's see here. Let's move this frequency over here a little bit and increase the gain. See that? That will boost it up a little bit and maybe increase the Q a little bit. See that? Maybe over there. Maybe increase the gain a little bit. See what this sounds like.
Yes. What? And then it's making sort of a boom. A kaboom. Yes. What? And then
now when you do this, when you start playing with frequencies, as you can see, I'm going into the red a little bit.
Yes.
And when that happens,
what? And then
you get clipping.
Then it's making sort of a boom. A kaboom.
So we should also make our input a little less
yes.
powerful as well.
Yes. What? And then it's making sort of a boom. A kaboom. Yes.
There we go. We don't want our input to be super hot,
and
we don't want our output to be super hot or super quiet. So you want to balance that out as well. So EQing can be basically really tricky, but it involves just a lot of fine finessing until you get it just right. So once you basically get it to something you like,
yes.
Here's before.
What? And then it's making sort of a boom.
Here's after.
A kaboom. Yes.
I could live with that.
What?
Now watch what happens to the waveform
sort of
when I render
boom.
it. When I render it, all this 60 hertz hum that's taking up so much of the waveform is going to shrink. Check it out. Render. And remember what this is before. When you use Audio Suite plugins, that renders the effect. It's not a real-time effect that just basically does it as it's playing. It actually renders the effect onto the clip itself. You can make it destructive, which means it destroys the original clip and renders it as a brand new clip. The old clip doesn't exist anymore. Only the new affected one does. Unless you're super skimpy on hard drive space, which would be a bad thing anyway, you don't want to do that. You always want to do non-destructive. That way it keeps the original clip and then creates a new one in your audio files folder with the effect on it. So let's do non-destructive. Look at that. It just went, let's do that again. It went from that, look at the peak of the actual voice, and then look at the peak of the 60 hertz hum, how intense it was. And then when we render this effect to EQ out that 60 hertz hum, look. Yes, the voice did go down a little bit, but the 60 hertz went down even more. And we can always just bring it a little bit back up.
Yes. What? And then it's making sort of a boom.
Now the 60 hertz hum is still there, as you could see. As you could see in the frequency analyzer.
Yes. What? And
but as you could see,
sort of a boom.
But as you can see,
yes.
The voice is now louder than the 60 hertz hum. The 60 hertz hum is now
sort of
existing down in the negative 35 decibel range,
yes.
whereas before it was up at negative 10. We succeeded in bringing that hum down basically 25 decibels while bringing the voice, only bringing down the voice a little bit. Now we can use more EQ effects to fine tune it even more, bring down that 60 hertz even more, and bring up the voice even more, but then you're playing with making the voice sound a little too affected. So you want to be careful. But this is just a basic demonstration of how to use your frequency analyzer to determine the culprit frequency, and then using one of your EQ tools to basically filter that frequency out. One last thing I'll show you, because I know this is a long one. You can also use your graphic equalizer. I could use to which is a much simpler version of the EQ. The only thing with the graphic EQ is it basically has very specific EQs. You can't change it. But
Yes. What? And then it's making sort of a boom.
It it will,
Yes.
but it will let you, be a little more general with the effect that you want to throw on your clip. Let's see what this looks like. Look at that. It basically kept the 60 hertz pinned down, and I brought up a couple of the mid frequencies, and now those are even louder. So these are two different EQ tools. One is very simple, which is this one, and the one I was using before is much more complex. Let me fine tune it a little more, but using both of them gets me the effect that I want, which is almost completely getting rid of the 60 hertz hum while keeping the integrity of the voice.
Yes. What? And then it's making sort of a boom. A kaboom.
There you go.